Hey everyone, I'm Zach and welcome to Rolling in Darkness, and today we're going to be talking about the Player's Guide to the Western Reaches, and it is going to be so much fun to talk about it because I love Shadowdark, and having the opportunity to have a giant campaign setting as well as additional rules and classes to make this giant sandbox style adventure has been so much fun to look at it and see how it's expanded and seeing all the updates and seeing everything that's been happening, and finally being able to get the Player's Guide into my hands through the backer kit has been a dream come true. Now, I think there's a lot of good in it. I think there's some okay things about it, and then there's things just to be aware of. I've been reading it since the second it was able to be downloaded. I read through it, took my notes, and here I am today. So why don't we kind of get into it? My thoughts, opinions, what I liked, what I didn't like, and kind of just things to be aware of. So why don't we start? So the biggest thing about this book is that this is the player-facing side of Shadowdark, specifically within the Western Reaches. So you can hand this to any player, and they're able to peruse through it. In this book, you're going to have options for race. You're going to have options for classes, a lot of classes. You're going to have rules for hex crawling, how to navigate through weather. You're going to have patrons. You're going to have the renown system. You're going to have war bands, so people like mercenary groups are able to fight for you, and you can have giant scale battles in a small scale field. When it comes to this book, there's a lot of information offered, and it's almost 300 pages of just nothing but stuff for your players, and that is so much fun to kind of look through it and see what works and what doesn't. But at the same time, one thing that I did notice, and this is kind of be a critique, is that when I was going through the book, I realized a lot of this information is stuff that I've seen before, but where have I seen it? Oh yes, Curse Scrolls 1 through 6. So a lot of the stuff within the Western Reaches is stuff from the Curse Scrolls kind of condensed and consolidated into this book. So all the classes, all the rules are kind of mismatched from all the other Curse Scrolls into this one volume, which to some people might be like, I'm rebuying all the stuff that I already bought before. Hear me out. I think when it comes to this, it is good to have it consolidated in a way where you can hand this book to your players. And for me, that is a godsend, because I would give friends Cursed Scrolls and be like, okay, you can only read these pages because the rest of them, we might be playing through the Gloaming, or we might be playing through a City of Masks. And then you can't really be looking through these sections, as well as the rules were kind of a gray area. Do I show them to my players, or do I have them just for me as a, game master? You just have the book, you hand it to your players, and they can make their characters. I think how it's laid out is brilliant. It's laid out the same way as the regular Shadowdark RPG. You have everything you need to know how to play the game up front, and then everything like classes, magic, deities, and all that stuff, especially additional rules, sort of in the back. If you have the index, you can pretty much navigate the entire book. Now, the Game Master side of it, I cannot wait for as well, and once that comes out, I will definitely do a video on it. But the issue that I find that people are kind of talking about is that you didn't read the fine print. I didn't have a problem with everything from the Curse Scrolls being in this book because it is a massive campaign setting. And this is an opportunity for players to see this for the first time, because a lot of the time as a game master, I buy all this material and I already have it, but it's good to have it in a place where everything is just lumped together so I don't have to keep bringing my Curse Scrolls everywhere. Everything is pretty much one for one. I'd have to look and see if there's little tweaks, but for the most part, what you get is it's on the tin. And I think there's so much here, especially when it comes to just the carousing rules, the bastion rules, the rules for your patrons, the rules for warbands. It's funny to think all this stuff is really what I wanted in 5.5, but here it is now laid out and in a lot less pages. And I think it's beautifully written, and especially when it comes to the hex travel, your players need to kind of know that stuff, and it's great that it's featured in this book and not in the Game Master's Guide, specifically for the reason of, you want them to have all the information at their fingertips so they can be as creative as possible and make their decisions. Other thing that you get is a vast amount of new magics that you can have, especially for different classes, such as the Witch, the Seer, the Warlock. And I find that going through all these magics is so much fun to read because you can pick and choose. And each one's different and unique, and then each class also in this is, there's such a wide variety of classes in this that you're never not going to have a person playing a unique experience. They don't have to play the fighter, the priest, the rogue, or the wizard anymore. They can play characters like the pit fighter, they can play the weirdling, they can play weird witches, they can play seers, they can play green knights. There's so many different varieties of things that they can play that every game of Shadowdark will now become way more unique. I feel like many people might find it a detriment that it feels like this is just a regurgitation of Curse Scrolls 1 through 6, but having it consolidated is very helpful, especially how this is just the player facing side and the game master side will be completely different. I imagine it to be more along the lines of what you need to run campaigns as well as what you need to run the monsters, what's the lore of the land, and they're kind of broken up into this 2-volume set that works really well. I can't wait to start implementing a lot of this stuff, especially giving this to my players and seeing how they interact with it. If you are new to Shadowdark and you just have the books and you don't have Curse Scrolls, this is going to feel really new. This is going to feel a wholly unique experience. If you have the Curse Scrolls, again, it's not really a detriment. Now you can give your players all that they need to do to play the game and not worry about someone like looking forward at one of the sections and being like, oh, there's a monster up ahead. Oh, this section over here. Well, I kind of know the lore of this section of the Western Reaches. But it's more of a consolidation. I think it works really well. And I can't wait to get the other section of this and kind of see what's different and what new rules there are. I imagine going more in deep with this, if I look through it with a fine-tooth comb, there might be some changes and alterations to some of the classes. But from my tertiary glance and like reading through it, I didn't notice anything really different, but again, I don't find that as a problem because now I can just give it to my players. I definitely think it's going to be worth the price tag, especially if you don't own the Curse Scrolls. Here they are in one condensed format, and it is beautiful and it is perfect. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you liked it, maybe consider subscribing down below. I would definitely appreciate that. It helps me boost up my numbers, and I like to talk about tabletop RPGs. So, thank you all so much. Like always, I'm Zach, and let's keep rolling those dice in darkness. Bye, everyone. See ya.